In today's video, I'm going to talk about the two voices that all of us have inside of our head and how listening to one of them can help you improve your life. Hello friends, my name is Vas Solo. I'm a recovered drug addict and alcoholic and a certified meditation coach. And the big question is, how can people like you and I who are in recovery from addiction, who want to be happy, joyous, and free, what are the things that we need to do in order to be successful and to grow into who we are meant to become? That is the big question, and the show will give you the answer. So the first time that I became aware that there was actually two voices in my head instead of one was when I read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It was one of the first spiritual books that I ever read, and it left a very powerful impression on me. In the book, Eckhart Tolle describes being very depressed throughout the beginning of his life. And then at a certain moment, he had a very powerful spiritual experience. He was laying in bed one night and he was suffering from depression and he was thinking about killing himself. And he had this thought where he said, I just can't live with myself anymore. And then something happened. He had a shift in consciousness where a voice came into his mind and it said, what is the self that you cannot live with? And who is asking the question? And he describes being sucked into this void of sort of nothingness, but feeling extremely blissful and peaceful. And then becoming aware that he was not the thoughts that he was thinking or the identity that he had created for himself in his mind of being this depressed, lowly person, but that he was actually this blissful consciousness behind that identity. And he said that the next morning when he woke up, he felt extremely peaceful. And for the next 2 years, all he did was he would just go to a park and he would sit on the bench and he would enjoy this beautiful state of awareness. And he goes on in the book to talk about how a lot of us, we identify with this thing that we call our personality, which is composed of our experiences, our various personal tendencies, our memories, our likes and dislikes, our attachments, our hopes and dreams. And this is who we think we are. And we identify with that personality, and that's how we interact with the world. And that's the lens through which we see the world. But he says, in fact, we are not that personality. That's just a thing that we've constructed. What we actually are, we are the awareness behind those thoughts and constructs that watches the world through them. And when I read that, I had this aha moment. Like I had a small shift in my awareness where I realized he was right. If I can witness my thoughts, then I must not be my thoughts. Right? Because if I was my thoughts, then I wouldn't be aware of them. And when I just had that realization, my awareness sort of shifted and expanded. And all of a sudden I said, wow, there's two of me. There's this personality or egoic identity, and then there's this awareness that experiences the world through that identity. And so from that point on, I started trying to identify more with the awareness rather than the thoughts. However, I found it almost impossible. Every time I would try to do it, what I was trying to do was really not to think, which is impossible. And so what I was trying to do is to be that awareness and not think and just experience the world through just pure awareness. And I just couldn't do it. I simply could not do it. It was like trying to stay dry in a tsunami. The thoughts would eventually sweep me up. And I would be back into the same patterns of thinking that I was normally involved in. And so I got frustrated with this and I left it alone. And at the time I was drinking and using drugs, so that didn't help. Now the second time that I got to separate from this self-created egoic personality or identity was when I did my inventory and I shared it with my sponsor. And then I realized that my thoughts, attitudes, and beliefs were actually changeable, and that the way that I was seeing the world was very toxic and negative, and that if I wanted to change how I felt and to be free of my own mental prison, I had to expand beyond those ideas and actually see the truth. So that was my next step. This is when I actually was able to put something into action and to separate myself from who I was and start working towards who I wanted to be. But in spiritual circles, they say, while this is a necessary step in your evolution, the next step is really to break free even of the new spiritual identity that you're creating. And they use the example of using one thorn to pick out another thorn that's stuck in your hand and causing you pain, and then throwing that thorn that you use to pick out the other one away. Because if we get trapped in this new identity that we're creating, even if it's a positive identity, it still keeps our awareness tied to the physical world and to the ego. So here I'm going into a little bit more of a metaphysical reality, which not everyone may have experience with, but that you can experience if you just start from the simple fact that if you can observe or be aware of your thoughts, that means that there's an awareness behind them, and that means there's something more profound to who you are. And my other step now, and what I'm trying to do, is to meditate and to experience myself as that pure awareness without those racing thoughts. And that's why meditation is so powerful and so helpful for anybody that wants to be free of what I call the cage of ego. Because no matter how you slice it, you could be the greatest person in the world, but if you are completely identified with that personality, then you're not experiencing a deeper truth of your being. And until we experience this deeper truth, or until we start experiencing some of it, we are always going to feel like something is missing, because we're not truly ourselves. And what yogis say and what saints say is that who we truly are is the soul, right? So those two voices in our head, one comes from our deeply ingrained egoic patterns, and then the other voice comes from the wise, all-knowing, blissful soul. And so in meditation, what we try to do using a specific technique and method is to raise our awareness to the point where we transcend our experience of ourselves as this flesh vehicle and as the mind and as the egoic identity. And there's a specific technique with which you can do that, which actually liberates you gradually. It's not like you're going to become enlightened after your first meditation or even after a year of meditating, but you gradually get to experience higher truths and higher truths of who you are, free of all those conditionings of the past. And when you experience something, it changes your consciousness and it allows you to grow into who you are truly supposed to be. Patanjali, who wrote the Yoga Sutras, described the whole process of spiritual awakening as smriti, or memory. It's not necessarily about becoming something, it's about remembering who you truly are. And so I'm just going to tie it all together by saying we can easily begin this whole process by doing a little bit of meditation every day and by trying to attune ourselves to that awareness behind the thoughts, and throughout the day by recognizing those patterns that we always fall into, and by trying to do their opposite, and by cultivating an attunement to that other voice, the voice that wants us to grow and to evolve and to be better, that's always whispering to us what the right thing is to do. And so the better we become at listening to that voice through all of these different tools that, let's say, we get in the 12-step program or that we learn from a spiritual teacher, the better we can navigate life, with the more aware we are when we are navigating it, and the less likely we are to fall into delusion or into painful situations. And if we do, we can more easily solve those situations in a constructive way, because we are being guided by the all-knowing, blissful soul. So that's it for today's video. Let me know what you thought of it. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow Recovery Plus on Facebook, share this video, and leave a comment below and let me know if you've had the experience of yourself as the awareness behind the thoughts. So thank you so much for watching. Take care. Joy to you.